we need to strive to know the ruling of the Sharia on a particular incident. Why scholars had to put a lot of effort trying to figure out how to give the ruling on such topics and issues. Islam tells you to look good, to smell good. The reason of the recession was the collaboration between insurance companies and the banks. Some scholars, though, stated that it is permissible for you to insure because you're compelled to do this by the government, by law, but you're not allowed to benefit from the insurance policy.
So much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Fiqh of Zakah. So just before the break there, Sheikh, you opened up some topics and mashallah you clarified for us and for me as well, Jazakallah khair, on this issue of especially currencies and understanding gold and silver for the poor. One of the questions that we get in Ask Huda, one of our main programs on questions, is I think I could say safely maybe 30% on zakah. And one of the questions people always ask is about rental properties. Somebody will give an example. They'll say, I own a property which I take the rent from yearly, but the rent doesn't come on the time of, like, for example, when my lunar year is, it comes at other times. What does somebody do when it comes to rent? How do they calculate the nisab on that, Shaykh?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, we have to distinguish between two things. Properties which are prepared for sale and investment, and properties which are intended to kira or rent. If somebody has a whole building and he's a landlord and is renting 10 flats, 20, more or less, then there is no zakah on the value of the building or the flats that he owns. The zakah will be on the earning which he collects from the rent of those properties if it attains the nisab, either by itself or in addition to other investment and saving. You're renting, for instance, a vehicle or a property, a shop or a flat. So the rent comes in, and I reinvested some in remodeling and construction, maintenance and all of that, and I paid my taxes and everything. Then before the hawl is over, I have the net profit, including the rent that I collected. Then this amount is zakatable. Zakah is compulsory on that when it is equivalent to the value of 595 grams of silver. Said the lower value, that is better for the poor because it adds up and it gives a greater number of zakah payers. So there is no zakah on the value of the property or the vehicle which you're renting. The zakah will be on the profit that you collect after the net profit, after you pay off your dues and taxes and remodeling and all of that.
So what about now the second part, the part you're speaking about, the person who's selling properties, for example. Somebody who has lots of properties and he holds on to them for several years, for example, and then he sells them 3-4 years later. What do we do with that kind of money?
Your question is very straightforward, but I would like to expand on it.
Excellent, please do.
To distinguish between two cases. One case is like myself, for instance. I'm not a merchant, I'm not a real estate agent, I'm not a relator, nor am I a landlord. So, but I moved to a bigger flat, and I have my old flat that I wanted to get rid of it, so that I can collect the money and pay my installment for the new flat or whatever. Then this flat in this case is not an investment, nor is it a business. It is not urudu tijara. It is not a trade of goods. Okay? But the other case is a person whose main business is buying properties in order to either remodel them and resell them for a higher value, or just resell them, recycle them in the market so that he can make some profit. In this case, whatever he possesses, and he paid for it, and the howl is due, and he maintained the nisab for an entire year, he calculates after estimating the value of each property that he put for sale in the market. He has 10 properties. Today's value is 10,000 for this, 100,000 for that. So he adds up all of that and he pays the zakah on the value of the properties, even though they are not sold yet, because this is business. So it could be the same property, but different intentions. My intention, I'm not a businessman. I'm just selling my flat so that I can move to a bigger one. In this case, I don't pay zakah on it unless if it is sold and I earn the money and it maintains its value, the nisab, for hawl, 1 lunar year. But this person, the businessman, the relator, the landlord, he's in business. He's selling properties all the time, and that's why he buys this land and this house and this vehicle. A car dealer is different than myself. I'm selling my old vehicle and I bought a new one. So I don't pay zakah on the vehicle which is for sale because I'm not a businessman. But somebody else who has a used car lot, he pays zakah on every car that he owns on the lot, because this is his money and he's making a profit out of that. How would he calculate that? Based on the estimate of today's value. I'm going to pay zakah today, and I have how many cars? 10, 15. Okay, I put this one on a retail sale for 15,000, and this one for 7,000, and so on. So I add up all of that, and I pay the zakah on it 2.5%. That's called urudu tijara, or zakah on trade of goods.
So now we've gone into trade now, for example, from renting or properties. So let's look at in trade generally. You said cars, you said how. Does this principle go on all matters of trade, Sheikh?
Give me an example.
So
it is better.
Somebody has a bookshop, for example, and sells books. He has thousands of
Excellent.
books, a massive inventory of books.
Excellent.
So what does he do every year? Does he calculate the cost, and is it new books or old books, or is it just the trade, the property, or the asset he has?
You're the owner of the store, meaning everything in it is yours. Okay? Or there is certain part which is yours, and it attained the nisab. And the value of the goods or the contents of the store, whether you're selling cheese or books or artwork or fabrics or gold and silver, it attains the nisab and you maintained it for 1 year, then it is zakatable. But the books are sitting there, I didn't sell them, or the goods are sitting there. Well, the day on which you owe the zakah, you make an estimate of your entire inventory and the retail sale price. You add it up and you pay 2.5% or rubu al-ushri, or 1/4 of 1/10 of the value of what you have for sale.
Okay, now a really good question comes up that I remember somebody asking me on one of our episodes once, and it wasn't a question of good in terms of it's something strange, good because it fits straight into what you're asking. We have an issue where many people buy properties, they'll buy gold, for example, even some people buy cars, and they're not really buying for investment, but they're buying it for example, the marriage of a daughter or son, or for example, they want to put their children through education. Again, how does this equate in this year?
This is called investment. You and your intention. The Prophet ﷺ said, deeds are bought by their intentions. As I said, it is the same flat, it is the same property, but what's your intention? I have some cash. Well, the cash value is always decreasing, and I heard now that the real estate value is going up. So I bought a property, I bought a flat. It's extra more than my need. I'm not living in it, and I'm not planning to move in it. Basically, I bought it in order to wait for the right time to sell it so that I can generate profit out of it. Then it is zakatable, because this is business. This is urudu tijara. It's a trade of goods. the flat or the car or whatever goods you bought has become trade of goods. Versus if you bought a flat for your son, he's now in high school, and inshallah you're waiting for his graduation so that he can get married. This is his flat. You give each one of your children a flat. It's not for business.
So this is not investment.
It's not zakatable. That's not investment. What's investment is what you bought with the intention of resale. That's your intention. طيب, let me expand on that. You bought a property and your intention was that you're going to build on it a house. Then you kept it there for a year or years. Then instead of building a house, you decided just to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So your intention has changed. When you sell it and you collect the cash becomes zakatable.
So that change in niyyah or that change in intention is a change of action on that person.
Exactly.
Okay, let's look into another area now. I mean, this is going slightly different, but it's still trade, Sheikh, and we've entered this topic, and that's when people trade or say, for example, in crops, in grain, in food stuff. How does this get involved? How do we start looking at the zakah for this?
Okay. First of all, let me give you the reference to the mandate of zakah on trade of goods,
okay,
merchandise and goods that's prepared for sale. Samurah ibn Jundub, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Prophet ﷺ كان يأمرنا أن نخرج الصدقة من الذي نعده للبيع. He said, indeed, the Prophet ﷺ used to order us to pay zakah or to take out the zakah from merchandise or goods which we have prepared for sale. So my intention is business, trade, investment, resale. Then we must take the zakah out of that. With regards to plants, food, plants and fruits and so on, if we're talking about a person who is a farmer, that's a different category, and I guess we'll have to elaborate on that in an independent episode. But if you are a merchant who's selling in your hyper shop or in your big mall, selling variety of things, from soap to school supplies to fruits to all of that, on the day which you owe the zakah, you estimate the price, the retail price of every inventory that you have, and you pay 2.5% on that.
So just to recap, again, all of this is in order for one main reason, which is to help the poor. It's not about the trade person thinking, how can I safeguard my money? It's to always have this thinking about the poor. Isn't that true, Sheikh?
Number one, it aims towards helping the poor, enriching them. Number two, purifying your wealth and purifying your heart from miserliness and being cheap. And best of all is giving gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings that He has bestowed upon us.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Muhammad, for all your advice today. Again, another excellent episode, I believe, on understanding the zakah, the importance of it, how to implement it. I hope you join me next time on the Fiqh of Zakah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself, cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live, look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed.